Hi everybody, welcome to Bio 3 Field Biology and Ecology. My name is Tim Ravel and I'm going to walk you through some basic stuff today. Please also check the comment section down below where I will update things, and I'll put a link to this PowerPoint and a URL to my website where you can find other things. Okay, so let's get into some basics really quick. First of all, welcome to my YouTube channel. If you would like, you can subscribe and turn on your notification bell and check the Bio 3 playlist, and that way you'll know when I post new content. You don't need to do that. I've already mentioned this once before. If you want to do that, it's maybe a faster way for you to find this kind of thing. It's totally up to you. On my website, instruction.mountsac.edu, T. Ravel, also put that in the link down below. I'll go over the syllabus when we actually are meeting and discussing things in class. I'm going to do things really quick. One thing I want to mention really quick is when you do look at the syllabus, and you will see by the title of the course, Field Biology and Ecology, we are going to be doing ecology and field biology, which means we'll be outside in the field much of the time. If you don't like being outside and you don't like hiking and you don't like outdoors, this is probably not going to be a very good class perhaps for you. You don't have to know all about that because I'll teach you things, of course, as we go. But if you're really opposed to the outdoors in a really strong way, you might find this class not to be a good match for what you're looking to do. And so I just mentioned that in terms of getting us started, because there's really no way around a class called Field Biology and Ecology to do it all indoors. So that being said, let's move on to the first topic I want to discuss today. I want to give you a chance to sort of think about things, and I want you to, perhaps if you have time, pause the video here and down in the comment section below, answer this question and simply write, what do you think is happening here in this picture? This comes out of a lecture textbook on ecology, and I'll just give you a second or two. You can pause the video and down there write what you think is happening. So I'm going to take some guesses because I didn't even read what's happening in this picture. They have what looks like a fishing tackle box. I like fishing. I don't think they're fishing here. Do you think this is their pet lion? Do you think the lion's dead? Or is it their pet and they're just petting it? It looks like maybe it's sleeping there. Really cool vehicle. You can see there's some kind of palm tree in the back there. So what I suspect they're probably doing here is they probably shot this lion with a dart gun, I'm guessing, and now they're taking some information on it to study the ecology of this lion in one way. Maybe they're taking blood for blood tests, and maybe what's in that fishing tackle box looking thing is all their little supplies, I imagine, to study that lion. But what I want to get to is, in order to study ecology, you look at this and you're like, wow, we're going to do that? We're not going to do that. We're not going to go out, darting lions, right? In order to understand what's happening here in ecology, there's a couple of things we have to clear up and make sure everybody kind of understands. So what we're going to do in this lecture part right here, I'm going to explain a couple basic concepts that relate to biology in general, and we're going to build upon that so we can really get into the ecology. So the lion is alive. Ecology, as we're going to attack this, is going to be the study of plants and animals and how they interact with the environment and with each other. So we need to know a couple things about what living things are. What does that mean? And you probably know what a living thing is versus a non-living thing, but we really need to know the specific scientific reasons why something's alive. And then we need to unwrap that so we can then dive into the ecology part. So first of all, and many of these are going to seem real simple to you, which is great. All living things come from other living things. Lions come from lions. Tigers come from tigers. Beetles come from beetles, and all that sort of thing. All living things come from other living things. All living things have an inherited genetic code. You can think of this like DNA or genes or chromosomes, meaning there's information that is passed from parent to offspring. All living things must maintain homeostasis in order to survive. This one's a little bit tricky a little bit different maybe. And what this means, homeostasis, is this internal balancing act that must happen. And as an example, temperature, body temperature. Humans, for example, our body temperatures, 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, 37 degrees Celsius. And it can go a little bit higher than that, and it can go a little bit lower than that. But for a human, it's got to stay somewhere in there. Humans have a certain amount of water that they're made up of. You can gain water and lose water, but if you go outside of those ranges, you get death. So, number 4, all living things use energy, and for us, we can think of it as this, like this lion here, for example. In order for it to stay a lion, it has to consume food to get energy, and it uses that energy to reproduce and chase things, and it uses that energy to maintain homeostasis. So that becomes an important concept because a lot of that energy comes from one animal needing to eat another plant or animal, so we'll go into that too. All living things can evolve. So scientifically, just to give you a quick definition, what evolution means in science, and as we'll use it, is that all living things have the potential and the ability to genetically change over time. We'll go into that more later on, and we'll talk about what evolution is and is not throughout the class, but that's an important part we'll get to as well. Number 6, all living things are made up of cells. Sometimes we call this a cell theory. And a cell, a living cell, it's the smallest functional unit of life. So a lion, for example, is made up of a whole bunch of cells that interact in a certain way to make it a lion. You can break a lion down into smaller parts, but once you get to the cell level, you can't go below that and still have what we call life. Number 7, all living things are capable of growing and responding to the environment. A lot of this has to do with the energy part, and this is a good list to get us started. The way I have them numbered, there's no significance. I just sort of laid them out, and there's really no order that matters. One thing I want to mention before I end this video today is that one of the hard, difficult things about studying ecology is there's a principle in science in general and many things in life, and it really applies very well to ecology. It's called emergent properties, and it was actually first coined, the phrase, or noticed or described by the philosopher Aristotle. And emergent properties can be thought of as the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. And there are many examples you could use, but I'll use airplanes as an example here. If you go on a trip and you get on an airplane, airplanes have all kinds of parts to them. They got wings, and they got a cockpit, and they've got seats where people sit, and they've got all kinds of electronic things, and they've got rivets that hold it together, and they've got engines and all these sorts of parts to them. And if you took the airplane apart, you would still have all the parts, perhaps, of an airplane, but unless you could put them back in a coordinated way so that they could interact with one another, you don't really have the function that is an airplane. And living things are that way. And so we have to be careful of this because it makes us quite often think that ecology is going to be very, very simple. But because of the emergent properties, it's really not. So we're going to look at, say, an airplane and say, well, what if we took out some rivets off the airplane, or we took off the bathroom door? Does the airplane still work? Does it still function as an airplane? Can you take out parts? And that's going to be a complex question. If you're like me and you have a little bit of flying anxiety, you don't like the idea when people are taking parts off an airplane or anything like that. It's not a fun game. So we're going to talk about that and how that applies. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. That'll be the end of my first little introduction to the class. We'll continue on with other things as we go. Hope everybody's having an awesome day, and I will talk to you soon.